Hey YouTube, wanted to put a quick video together. I don't usually do videos with this theme, right, the doom and gloom stuff. I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around this whole thing, okay? Our path is unsustainable. I'm really hung up on that term, unsustainable. And I'm really curious what your guys' view is on exactly what that means, right? Play the game if you want of fill in the blank. Our path is unsustainable and this will lead us to blank. I'm really interested in all the viewpoints. Walden Tree, Donald Scott, there are a couple of the stock guys, they like to come on every now and then and tell me why I'm wrong with silver. Please give me your view, guys. I'm curious to know why you think our path is sustainable and that, we're not on a collision course. Our economy isn't on a collision course. Before we get started, I saw a chart I found really interesting. I found this on a Zero Hedge. And guys, thank God for alternative media. And I'm talking about sites like SGT Report, Zero Hedge, because, they'll cover the stories that the mainstream media just never will. And I'm going to do a future video on that. But this is a great example of this. Okay, this is a chart since the start of the year of the spot silver price, which is the gray line. Of course, we've gone down since the start of the year. And the green line is demand for silver from the U.S. Mint. We just set another record in February for Eagle sales. Okay, most Eagle sales in February ever. And look at that green line. The demand is high, and yet the price is down. Very, very strong correlation to start the year. And then on February 6th, there was a break. And I'm not sure what was significant about that day, but look at the separation there. That can't continue. Unless something drastically has gone wrong with industrial demand or, investor demand overseas, I don't see it. So right here, this tells me the math is in our favor. So let me start this video by talking about my dad. Okay, my father and I work for the same company. He worked there for 36 years. He retired not too long ago, a few years ago. 20 years ago, my father made $50,000 a year. Okay, he was in manufacturing. Gas back then was $17 to fill up your tank. Groceries were about $75 to fill up your cart. His health benefits were paid for, houses were cheaper, and he had a pension. Right, when you signed on with your employer back then, you basically had a contract that you'd be taken care of for the rest of your life as long as you'd agreed to work for them. And I'm not saying pensions are the right thing, but what I'm saying is this is what he had. This is what being in the middle class was like 20 years ago. Pretty good life. Golf membership, hunting trips with his buddies. Not a bad way to live. Not having to worry about the future because you know that you're going to get a pension check for the rest of your life. Well, as I said, I work for the same company. I actually achieved a position higher than he did. I'm a department technician, which is a step below manager. Okay? It costs me $60 to fill up my gas tank. My groceries are about $150 to $175 a week. My health benefits are $550 a month. I have no pension. Oh, by the way, I make $8,000 a year less than my father did 20 years ago. Not adjusted for inflation, real dollars. $8,000 a year less for a higher position with more authority and more responsibility. That's middle class today. Unsustainable. Americans on food stamps, 48 million. 1 in 7 people are now on food stamps. You guys know how hard it is to break the cycle of poverty. Once you're there, really hard to get off. I believe in a strong social safety net. I do. Unfortunately, that net usually ensnares them and won't release them from their grip. Average student loan debt, $27,000. We know that a lot of kids coming out of college have a lot more than that. So they're graduating from college now with $600, $700, $800 loan payments for 10 years. And oh, by the way, a really soft job market. That's not going to stop anytime soon. I would advise any kids that are watching this to make sure they really look hard at the degree of choice before they enroll in college. Look at in-demand fields like electrical engineering, computer science, nursing. Those are degrees that should pay off for you. Be careful with the ones that won't. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. So the U.S. debt is now $16.5 trillion. Our debt to GDP is 106%. We now owe more than we make as a country. Walden Tree yesterday said that the debt doesn't actually matter. It's the cost of service of debt. I agree with that completely. But you know what? As the debt goes up, there's no room for interest rates to go up, because the payment on that debt will explode. I don't see how that's sustainable. That $16.5 trillion will be $25 trillion before you know it. Actually, it'll be $22 trillion by the end of Obama's second term. The Federal Reserve. So they're tying QE to the unemployment rate. Well, that makes it sound like they're for us, doesn't it? Oh yeah, we want everybody to have jobs before we stop. Well, what a joke that is. Okay, make no mistake, the Federal Reserve is of the banks, by the banks, and for the banks. Okay? What they're doing with this quantitative easing is absolutely crushing the middle class. That's why food is so unaffordable now for many families. That's why gas is so unaffordable now for many families. That's why it costs so much more to heat your home. It's funny, my company always comes out with record profits, and all the trumpets are blaring during the earnings report. Great quarter, record profits. And then when it comes to raise time, we get the, ooh, yeah, we were so close this time, but, we really don't have much for you. And so it goes. But they won't give us raises. Do you know why? Because the unemployment rate is so high. Do you know why the unemployment rate is so high? Because there's no demand for businesses' products. Do you know why there's no demand for the businesses' products? Because we're paying so much for food and energy. And so it goes. It's a big circle. How is this sustainable? Sometimes recessions need to happen. You need to clear out the brush so that when there's a forest fire, it's not quite as bad. Unfortunately, the Federal Reserve, their policies the last quite a few years now, going all the way back to Greenspan really, has been always to avoid a recession. And you know what? They've actually created a bigger problem than they've solved. Russia and China. Both importing gold as fast as they can. Why do you think that is? They must have a plan. Okay? The only thing keeping us afloat is our world's reserve currency status. That's it. What country would get away with the money printing that we're doing without that? Nobody. That's what's keeping us afloat. You think that doesn't burn at Russia and China? You don't think they may have a plan in place for us? If not to replace the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, but at least to chip away at it? And that's all it would take. I don't see how this is sustainable. I don't see how this is a bottom. And I don't see how pumping up the stock market in order to basically serve a select few is going to help us in the long run. How is it going to stop this slow societal rot? That's my question for you guys. And I shield that from my kids. They don't even know any of this stuff, and they shouldn't, right? I also kind of shield my wife from it a little bit too. I mean, we talk about it a little bit, but I don't see how anything good is going to come of this. Give me your thoughts. I'm really interested.